Hello there, beautiful people, lovers of this crazy symbolism we call the tarot. So, this Six of Wands came up for me again today, and I've just been sitting with it as I always do. And I actually sat and listened to the video that I'd made about this reverse Six of Wands, and I was listening to it, probably made about a year ago, and there were some things I didn't quite voice very clearly, and I didn't really agree with even now. So, which is fine. We grow and change. I'd like to do a quick review of this, but it might not be as quick as some of the other reviews. One of the things I was speaking about is this is like the victory of after we won kind of like a battle, and the alternative way of looking at this is sometimes not to celebrate the fight so much. And there is this quality, and I was speaking what I don't agree about so much is when I was speaking about the fight and the struggle that we go in, that we step into sometimes, and we think we need to fight, and we end up fighting ourselves. We end up fighting who we are in order to win, to be better people. And there is a validity to that fight. And what I said in the previous one is we have to accept ourselves, but instead of fighting ourselves. And sometimes when we let go of the fight and we experience more of the acceptance, then that celebration can really be felt. And this is true, this is not wrong, but the fight is still valid. And the urge of movement and the fire that gets under our arse is uncomfortable, and we kind of need to fight our stubbornness, or fight our own stagnancy, or fight our addiction to being stuck wherever we are, in order to move forward, in order to gain something, in order to fight for what we want, fight for what feels like a purpose in life. And that it is going to feel like fighting, because we're kind of fighting old patterns, and in a way this is just fine. This type of fighting is very positive. It becomes a little bit dodgy and negative when we end up thinking and judging that the things that we're fighting are wrong. And that's the issue, really, because the things that we're fighting are not wrong, they're just outdated. They're just and the thing is about judging them as being wrong, a lot of these old outdated stories that we're fighting are us, our personality, our quality, our pasts. And if we end up calling them all wrong, then we end up thinking that we're wrong, and that's not really a great place to move forward from, because how can I be wrong and then try to be right at the same time? So we kind of have to avoid the negative judgments about all of our mistakes, and all of the guilt and the shame and the failures that we've had in the past, and all of the loss that we've experienced, in order to actually move forward and have something to celebrate. And in a way, we need to look back into all those dark and dodgy lessons, and all of our shame-filled darkness and shadow that we have experienced in the past of our lives. And we need to learn to celebrate that in a way. And it's a tough thing to celebrate. It's what's hidden behind this cape over the horse that we're riding on. We're riding on some loss. We're riding on some old fears. We're riding on some old doubts and some old insecurities. And we're riding on all of that shame and that guilt that we might be storing in our subconscious. And yet, this is also something to celebrate, not the failures that we have met. So we don't have to go big them up and go, oh, look at the failure I've had. We need to celebrate it in the way of recognizing how important in confronting and facing our darkness has been. Of course, that confrontation and that facing is only useful if we actually face it. If we're experiencing it, turning around and running the opposite direction, which is normally how we fail, and that's normally why we fail, then yes, that's not something that's easy to celebrate. But in the moment where we can actually look at something, we can take the cloak off the horse and it falls naturally. We can celebrate what we've lost. We can celebrate a death of our ego. We can celebrate a lighting up of our shadow. That is the real celebration. That's the real celebration here. The death of some part of us, some part of who we thought we were at one time, so that we can be more true and we can walk more clearly and consciously towards what it is we want in our life, what is the fundamental truth of why we feel we're here. It's going to be different from one person to the next, and it's not one size fits all, but this energy of celebration, of victory, we need to question, what is real success for us? Define that for yourself. Define what success is. Define what it means. Define what it feels like to you. Picture it and see what that manifestation might appear like in your mind, and walk towards that. And yeah, walking towards that is going to be a little bit like fighting your old habits. In a way, it's not fighting your old habits. In effect, it's more like fighting to move forward, because you kind of got you've kind of got to uproot that old weed that's well rooted, and you might have to tug to uproot it. You might have to really give it. You might have to get your machete out, get your spade and shovel out, and dig those roots out there, so thing. And that's a fighting energy. So, and it's not fighting against yourself. It's just a fighting for freedom in a way. And this requires consistency, persistency, a little bit of effort, and facing your conflict. And yeah, that looks a little bit like fighting. It's a paradox, because in the end, we dig it up and we go, and it's when we relax and when we give up the struggling aspect of life that we slip into the state of synchronistic flow in life as well. But there has to be a little bit of effort, a little bit of movement to get us to climb up that hill, to pull us out of bed. That's a struggle. That's the fight. That's the positivity. We don't have to fight continuously. We don't have to get addicted to the struggle and the war and the battle. That's not what it is. But we have to be able to fight and stand up in a way which is healthy, and at the same time understanding that counter nature of knowing how to surrender and release and sacrifice. And that's a lot of what this card is. If you don't know how to fight, you won't know how to surrender. And if you don't know how to do both, then you won't find the success that this card is talking about. Have a fantastic day. Much love to you all.